Thank you for watching the Housing Oregon YouTube channel. Be sure to join our network and get involved in the work that we are doing. If you can, please like and subscribe. It helps us build this channel, which serves as a platform to communicate with our members. This video is part of our 2025 annual conference. We're looking for folks to be on the conference planning committee. Please email info@housingoregon.org.
Good morning and welcome everybody. We are glad to have you here. This breakout session is focused on modular housing, the promise that it provides to us in terms of, in many different cases, in terms of wildfire recovery, in terms of long-term housing, in terms of helping us figure out how we address the housing deficit that exists across the state. I'm moderating today. My name is Pam Marsh. I'm a state representative from District 5, which is the other side of the state, southern Jackson County, and just above the California line. You may remember that in 2023, the legislature passed, as part of the bigger emergency housing legislation, an allocation of $20 million to go to modular production. Why did we do that? We did that because as we were responding to wildfire needs and we were looking at the shortage of housing generally across the state, we realized that we needed to think differently about how we actually get housing on the ground. We know that there's probably no question that brick and mortar will remain our dominant form of housing construction. And yet other ways of doing things, modular construction, manufactured housing, other factory-based components can be a significant contributor to both emergency response and to long-term housing. So today we're going to tell you the rest of the story. What happened to that $20 million? Who has received the grants? What are they doing with it? What are their hopes and dreams? And how do we think that modular production generally can contribute to the work that we have in front of us? So thank you for coming. And we'll start with introductions of our panelists. Why don't we start at that end? And we're going to ask you for your name, your organizational affiliation, and where your passion for this work comes from.
Thank you, Representative Marsh. Thank you, Britt, for having us. My name is Stefan Zaug. I'm from Switzerland, and we have founded a company here, Zaug Timber Solutions, and we will start our production on T2 next spring. And if it wasn't for OHCS, we wouldn't be here. Thank you very much.
And can you tell us a little bit about that port site so that people know what you're referring to?
So the site is it's an old site from the port of Portland with very bad soil, which gives us a little bit headaches for our new project, and we are temporarily now in a facility for 2 years, and we will produce our own new facility after 2 years on this site. It has about 1,000 square feet. No, at 100,000 square feet, sorry. Sorry.
I'm Alex Connect from Pacific Wall Systems. We're based in Phoenix, Oregon. We've been doing this wood offsite modular components for the last 18 years. My wife and I started the company in '07. We come from development and framing. So we've been building buildings our entire careers. We manufacture components for the building industry, primarily commercial and multifamily. We do
Alex, can you hold? I think you may need to be holding your mic a little closer.
Oh.
Can you hear in the back?
Can you hear me in the back?
There you go.
Is that better? Okay, great. Yeah, Pacific Wall Systems, Alex Connect. My wife Connie Connect joins me today. We've been in business 18 years in Southern Oregon. We're currently on a property in Phoenix that was used to have a Boise Cascade on it. We're really excited about this development project that we've, in large part, was only available to us because of this grant funds. These grant funds have put us in a position, both currently and in the very near future, to double our capacity and contribute to the emergent, middle, and more importantly, emergent, affordable, and middle income. So yeah, I'll be here for questions later.
Kendra Cox with Blazer Modular Construction. My parents started the company in 1976, so I'm a second generation owner. We are a volumetric modular building manufacturer. Through the years, we've mostly built modular or commercial modulars, and we've built a little bit of residential, and now we've decided to focus back onto a residential commercial mix. So we're very thankful for this grant, and I think it's my passion for the project is just business opportunity and pivoting and learning new things and providing more housing for the state of Oregon. We're very proud to be able to be a part of this.
Thanks. I'm Nate Ember with he/him with Inkbuilt Architecture here in Portland. We're a women-owned firm, and we've been focused on affordable housing and shelter, kind of the whole spectrum of housing needs that need the most attention, really. And so we, with some partners, completed our first modular project in 2019, some permanent supportive housing for veterans, and just really saw the potentials of that technology to bring costs down, speed up delivery, be able to do it with less effort. And we were just like, let's lean into this and see what can open up. So yeah, we're excited to be part of this.
Good morning, everybody. Britt McLean, she/her. I am a policy analyst at Oregon Housing and Community Services and the project lead for the Modular Housing Development Fund grants. It's a mouthful. And I'm excited to tell you a little bit more in just a few minutes.
Thank you. So we're going to plunge into the work. We're going to get an overview first of what the grants were. We're going to allow the individuals who received the grants to tell you and show you some pictures of their work so that you can understand what kind of production is ongoing in the state and how it might grow. So Britt, take us away.
All right. Okay. The Modular Housing Development Grant Fund. We were on some tours this summer of the grantees' facilities and just being sort of blown away by what we were seeing, the efficiencies, the quality of the materials, the innovation that was happening on the ground. We all just kept saying the same thing, this is the future, this is the future. And Rep. Marsh said, yeah, factory built is the future, but we need the future now. And that's just very clear across the board with all of our grantees. The future, it is the future, and the future is now. So just to do a little bit of level setting here, factory built homes, the differences between modular and manufactured. Now, there's some nuances to this. This is not an exact science as far as we're concerned, but these were the main differences that we used for the program. The first, who regulates, how is it installed at the site, and the level of customization possible. So for modular housing, that's primarily regulated by state and local building codes, attached to a foundation, and very robust customization possibilities. With manufactured housing, they're built to HUD standards. Often the lot underneath or the space is rented, and there is some customization. Both have extreme, sorry for the popping, both have extreme advantages, safety advantages, cost advantages, time-saving advantages. But today we're going to be talking about modular. And that was a little bit of growing pains for us as an agency. We hadn't really worked with modular before, so there was a lot of education to do. And before I get any further, I just want to say, although I'm the project lead, lots of folks behind the scenes also worked on this. Nothing is ever done alone. There's some folks in the room here today who made the grant program successful. So just want to shout them out. Okay, the grant program. Let's go to the way back machine. To the year 2023. We got $20 million in general fund resources championed by Representative Marsh and Senator Anderson. This is what you could buy. This is what you had to prioritize. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this because we want to get to the good stuff. But all of this information can be found on the OHCS agency webpage for modular. So if you'd like some more information, please go ahead and go ahead and go there. It is closed. Just wanted to make that very clear. The program is closed. It was one-time funds. We are not accepting any more applications for the grant program. But there's someone in the room who might be able to do something about that. Okay, how did we score, folks? We got 17 applications across the state. It was incredible, and by no means were there only 4 eligible or deserving firms to get these grants. What it revealed to us is that Oregon is ready for the future. We scored folks on their projected outputs, community and industry impact, their category prioritization plan. Remember, folks receiving these grant funds have to prioritize low, middle, and recovery housing. So we required applicants to show us how are you going to prioritize those? What will you do if you receive an order for a wildfire recovery project, but you've already got a production line going for another order? What do you do? Pop quiz, hotshot. And we got some really great answers to that. Experience, business plan and budget, or the reporting plan. What are you going to tell us success looks like? What does success look like to you? What does it look like for your firm? What are we talking about here? What's going to happen? And then an equity-centered management plan. We wanted our applicants and grantees to share our mission for equity, diversity, and inclusion, and our grantees are fantastic representations of the business private market moving into that direction, and without our sort of forcing them to. These equity-centered management plans we received were outstanding. Happy to talk about that more later. All right. Here we go. So the life cycle of the modular development grants. In 2023, we received the legislative investment. We just gave, in June, the final disbursement of the grant funds. We are squarely in the capacity expansion and innovation section. The tours that we took this summer are very clear on that. We'll get into that in a little bit more detail. And then until 2029, we are going to track the long-term impact of these grants. 2029 is also the deadline for me to finish the first draft of my screenplay. So TikTok, you know, we're all feeling the clock there. All right. Okay, the goals for ongoing tracking through 2029. This is what we've told our grantees, those that you see here at the dais, that we will want to track. We want to show measurable success. Hey, we want to, the legislature wants to know, what did we buy? The public wants to know, what do we get? Inform future legislative investments. If we did it right, then we would have a good justification to inform future legislative investments in housing. Tracking opportunities for long-term impact. Where can we take a lesson learned and repeat it, and avoid the mistakes of the past? Because this was our first time doing this. We know there's a lot to learn, and we're happy to do it. And then transparency and accountability. The public, they want to know that we are good stewards of their money and that the grantees are doing what they said they would do. Okay, our grantees. I feel like a hype man for modular and our grantees in general. We've got everything. We've got rural, we've got urban, we've got family-owned, we've got folks who've been here for multi-generations, and we've got new and innovative techniques that are being brought over for overseas. We have it all. We've got components. We've got full unit manufacturers. This slate of grantees truly represents the diverse landscape of modular in the state, and it's so exciting. We have Blazer Industries in Almsville, IntelliFab in Klamath Falls. They couldn't be here today, so I'm going to speak on their behalf during the panel portion. God help them. Pacific Wall Systems in Phoenix, and then Zog Timber Solutions here in Portland. All right, grantees in the news. They keep getting in the news, and in this case, that is a good thing. They keep showing up. They're fixing problems of the past. They are coming up with innovative housing solutions. They just keep making the news. We're very, very proud of our grantees. This is the website. These slides will be available to folks after the conference. I'm reading your minds. Yes, you will get to have these. You will get to have these slides, and this will take you to our page. If you're interested in a particular grantee's work, the website should also redirect you to their contact information, so you will be able to get in touch with these fine folks. Okay, so now we are going to go into the panelist presentation part, Rep Marsh. I'm just going to keep going because I'm going to handle IntelliFab. Okay, IntelliFab, this is what I got for them. They started producing factory-built homes and buildings in 2005 in the heart of wildfire country. When we toured their facility this summer, there was wildfire smoke in the air, and it just highlighted how important not only what they do, but where they do it in Klamath Falls. Their grant activities included expanding their manufacturing footprint, equipment acquisition, and then building a library of ready-to-build designs. Really, the savings that come from modular, a big part of that is in the replication of a specific unit. It's creating the same thing over and over again. Major successes are replacing the units for Royal Oaks. When we were visiting them, they were producing a 2-bedroom, 1-bath unit every 2 days. Please clap. Yeah, it just mind-blowing progress. It just incredible. Sorry. Yeah, whoops. Okay, we're not going to listen to this video. We just, our fabulous communications team built this, put together this video after our tour. You're going to see some of the equipment that IntelliFab bought. You're going to see us, my colleague Caroline and Director Bell. It was really hot that day. Really hot that day. I tried there. Yep, I tried to keep it cool. You know, usually when we tour a place, we're going to go into a multifamily building and do a ribbon cutting, and that's just not how this works. That's not how factory built works. But it gives us a different tool for our toolkit and a different way to celebrate. But yeah, so this and just, yeah, there's Doug. I wish he could be here to talk about his amazing work instead of me, but I will have to suffice. Very proud moment for us to see. These are the trailers that take the units to the site for installation. They bought two new trailers with their grant funds, and just extremely impressive home hardening techniques. Some proprietary stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about was very cool. So if you'd like to see the full video with the audio, it is on our website. We have tour videos for Blazer and Pacific Wall, and Zog will put together a video for Zog in the early spring, next spring. And that's all I've got for you. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I have a slide. Oh, there we have the slide.
Oops, sorry. Oh, was that me?
Well,
did I do that? There we go. Sorry, Alex.
Again, thank you very much. I appreciate the grant and all the effort that the state has done to put this together, for not only for us and our company, but for the state. I think this is great work, and it's work that's been needing to be done for a long time. Yeah, when we originally got into this, was just simply for an easier way to frame buildings. We set out to produce a package that a builder could assemble in very fast. So as soon as the concrete is underway, we have fully collaborated the building, and all of the digital aspect of the building in its entirety are complete before any shovel hits the ground. Within that, the production is underway and the components are being manufactured. So, yep, as we see here, these are two projects. The one on the right, or the one on the left that's playing now, is a ADU unit. So with the grant funds, we were able to increase our production capacity to allow for what we had designed and built with an effort from a local architect. We were just going to work to try and figure out a great ADU solution for our customers in our area in Southern Oregon, and that architect and I collaborated, and we went to work with the city of Medford, and we came up with 4 plans. They're on the ADU. They're on their ADU website that are free to the public. All that you have to do is add your their pre-approved building permits included, a whole bit, and further SDCs. There's a lot to the program, so I suggest going to the Medford site, and you can see what we call the Pack Wall Mini. They have their own name for them, but they've also allowed us to share those plans with the city of Ashland. We have 5, I believe, with their own unique names, but they're essentially the same design offered in a couple different roof styles. So we have the gable end and the mono-pitch roof. So these are flat stack kits that we offer. It's called the Pack Wall Mini, and yeah. So now we're moving on to the lower side. That's downtown Portland. Can't disclose exactly who the builder was because it's top secret, but this is what we do every day. This is our bread and butter. That's what we've been doing for the last 18 years, is building these buildings like this in this fashion. The ADU comes as a great surprise. We're really excited about the ADU package, but this is our bread and butter. We build walls, floors, roofs, and stairs. We build them in Phoenix, Oregon, and we ship them all around the West Coast. Our primary customer base right now is the union and otherwise self-performing general contractor in the greater Bay Area, San Francisco and Bay Area. We do a ton of affordable projects. Our primary customer builds the affordable project. So yeah, that in a nutshell is what we have. So this is our third slide is our new offerings. Again, the expansion has been the huge part. So we moved, when we first met and considered this grant, and when this grant became available, we were in a very small facility for 12 years or so in Central Point. We were not able to continue our floors or any of our other offerings that we had at the time, and nor could we launch we simply created the plans and such for the ADUs. So the ADUs were out of the picture and all that because of capacity and space. And since then, we've moved to Phoenix, Oregon, in a 9-acre piece of property, and we've used these grant funds to build. We're on our 4th building. We removed and replaced the end of our existing 30,000 square footer, and we've made it into 45,000 square feet. We have a total of 80,000 square feet under roof now. With the last 18,000 square feet is the concrete is being poured as we speak. So the funds have been very well used. We've stretched them as thin as we could. So we have done a lot, and we brought in all sorts of new employees and everything else. So it's all working out very, very well, and we really, really appreciate the effort that the state is going through to make these modular construction a thing of the present, because it is very much here, and it's been used in a lot of states, in a lot of countries, for a lot of years. So we're catching up.
Sorry, Alex, the YouTube video won't. It'll be in the slides.
It won't play?
It won't. Oh, that's a good idea. Just refresh it.
Oh, this is the Blue Ox. Yeah, this is by one of our customers. It's a different building. Which one? Oh, this is Gleason in Portland. Again, it's just these are only wall components. Actually, the floor crews have gotten so efficient with this framing style that they don't even really need the floors. But at this point, the floors are being deployed all over California because of not only because of the new OSHA laws, but because of the efficiencies. The floors, literally, it's a 4-person crew that can stand, put up 10,000 square feet of this building a day. So there's no comparison to stick frame. And yeah. All right. Well, I pass along.
Thank you. Pleasure. Kendra.
One of our main focuses with the grant funding was to produce a product line. As I said earlier, we're primarily a commercial manufacturer, but we have a lot of capacity, and we were able to partner with architects to design products from ADUs through specialty multifamily. You see here is a live-work model designed by IdeaBox. We started with one, we were working with Emmons Design on a multifamily, larger multifamily design, and realized that we needed to have a better variety to suit market demands. I'll go to the next slide. And we also committed to building 3 prototypes that are on display at Blazer. One is the Haven, that's just yonder on the other side of the red doors. And the other 2 will be completed in December and on display at Blazer. You're welcome to come visit. We love visitors. So the Haven is designed by IdeaBox. It's a single family. It can be an ADU. It can be modified as a single family home with multiple rooms. And the next slide is the Osprey by Inkbuilt, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, more of a mid-century modern design. And the next slide is the Emmons I'm Home 2. That's a multi-family design with standardized units. Can mix and match studios through 2 to 3 bedrooms. This would be complete with an elevator and stairs and a little bit of commercial and storage on the main floor. So we've really focused on product design and trying to have a broad range. We've been working with Inkbuilt and IdeaBox, Emmons, Lloyd Development, Acid Architects, Age Plus, Salazar Architects, and Green Canopy Node. And we're really having fun collaborating with this team. With Modular, it's critical to design and develop the team very early in the process so that we're designing for the manufacturing and transport restrictions. We've also invested in equipment. We have about 150,000 square feet of manufacturing facility and warehouse. It was time to upgrade some equipment, purchase more efficient saws. Safety was a big concern for us. We were happy to be able to upgrade some of the dangerous equipment. We've been working on factory facilities. When you've been in business for 50 years, there's lots of clutter and time to clean up and rethink how we move product through the line. And we have invested heavily in technology. My team is actually in Nashville this week at an Autodesk Construction Cloud conference, digging deep into Revit. We hadn't done a lot of 3D modeling in the past. This allows us to walk through the buildings early in the process before we start production. We're trying to place everything, outlets, switches, really refine the designs. The kitchens and baths we're working on. Standardization, we can always customize, but if we need to move products through the line very quickly, then we want to have some standard designs all the way down to the smallest details. And that's about it.
Thank you. I think we've got some Inkbuilt slides.
Yeah, thanks, Kendra. And yeah, there was so much. We were really impressed with Kendra and her team's approach to all this, and thankful for inviting us in to kind of participate with them in it. She really has just been a great relationship builder, and it allowed us to really explore not only these prototype designs that I'll talk about, but the process, how to smooth it out, how to, do the digital side of modeling and coordinating and all of that process work. So, and it's unlocked more conversations that will continue even after this grant, I think, between all of us, because we just really like working with Kendra and her team. So so what we were able to focus on with this as a middle housing prototype, and we chose this because we're seeing a lot of momentum across the state and through affordable housing projects too, to really kind of do a lot of townhouse, duplex, quadplex style housing. And we thought, this really should be something that's easy to implement in any community. It works well, whether you're urban or rural. And just wanted to kind of create some things that are easily and quickly put down, that you can, have stable costing, fast process, and really just increase housing capacity in this way. So here's kind of a quick look at the three main types that we did for the affordable housing sector. These are all shown as duplexes, but they can be more, lined up as townhomes, however many units you want to do. So the T1 is like a simple stacked townhouse. So there's two of those side by side in that little building. The T2 is focused on accessibility. So the ground level unit is fully accessible, feels kind of like a house. The upstairs gives you lots of privacy. And then the T3 is kind of a more typical larger townhouse style with lots of flexible options. So we just kind of discovered there's so much you can do with these, so many different ways to fit them on sites. So we really, these are some projects we're currently working on implementing these concepts on. So big affordable housing projects of 80 to 110 units. So they're very, as well as some little infill kind of fourplex designs. We focused on, how to make them trucking efficient, manufacturing efficient, and and building in accessibility for aging in community, because we just really see that as a big missed opportunity. So every one of these has at least a ground level kind of bedroom, bathroom, living space that is adaptable for folks. So, whoops, I clicked something. So that's kind of the overview of what we were able to bring to it, and we think there's lots more potential along these lines.
So again, I'm the Swiss guy. We're a family company, third generation, and we're doing mass timber since 90 years. And we're doing from industrial to office to multifamily, to single homes, to some extent, all in mass timber. Post, beam, slab, prefabricated interior and exterior walls, and modular. And we come to Portland to bring our expertise, our quality, our precision. And if you want to do things like that, you need a lot of skills. And what we want to do as well is bring the apprenticeship program that we have in Switzerland. We have a dual system, 4-year apprentice. We would like to implement and help together with community colleges to bring this to this space. And what we do, maybe you can go, that's actually our new facility that we were producing in a temporary facility at T2. That's the new one, those 100 square feet. Yeah, please. And this would be the kind of modular homes that we intend to produce here. I can't tell you what it is, for whom it is, but it's an actual project in the US. Please go one further. And the question is what we did with the grant. Well, if you want to produce to the millimeter, which we do, we need the perfect equipment. And that's what we're investing in with the money. So we have different CNC machines and sophisticated crane systems that help us to produce for a larger scale. That's an example. You can go further. Thank you. That's it.
So we have some already ready questions, but we hope to also get to questions from all of you. So be thinking about what you would like to ask this fine panel. I'm just going to make a couple of comments because I have the microphone anyway. The first modular operation that I got to visit was in my own community. It was Pacific Wall Systems. And I was so moved by Alex and Connie's dedication to the work, their family orientation, the fact that they were toiling away on this really pretty insignificant parcel in Central Point, trying to make a lot of things happen there. And then as I had the opportunity to move out and meet the folks over at IntelliFab and to see all of the operations that we have in front of us today, I felt, and I think that you will agree, that these modular developers, who are generational in many cases, have been toiling away, doing their work, understanding that it brings great benefit, but without a lot of attention. And what we are trying to do with this whole effort is to really elevate that work, because we understand that that work can be a significant contributor to the greater scheme of housing work that we have in front of us. So just so delighted to have you all here. I also wanted to note, very early on, you saw a slide of Royal Oaks that's being redeveloped with units from IntelliFab. That's actually in my district. My district lost 1,500 manufactured homes and 800 brick and mortar homes in the fires in 2020. And rebuilding those manufactured home parks and using modulars in more innovative ways is really what has fed my passion for all of this. And right now we have almost 5 years to the day, we have 10 or 15 families who have moved back into Royal Oaks with the potential for 120 families to be settling there on the long term. It's a tremendous contribution. So now we have our first question. Yeah. I should note, for full transparency, that this day we had one false start in trying to get modulars for Royal Oaks because we had to go out of state. And that was part of what fueled my passion for really supporting our in-state developers, is because we know we need this modular sector to be robust and growing. We need them in case of emergencies, and we need them for the work ahead. So that's really what led to this whole grant cycle. So first question for all of you. How can we have in the audience affordable housing developers, how can they take advantage of the benefits of factory-built technology and approaches? What advice would you like to give to people who might be thinking about going down a pathway with one of you or with another developer across the state? And we're going to open these questions up to anybody who wants to respond and share their wisdom. Kendra, I think you started off in your comments with having you made some comments about things people should think about ahead of time and the benefit of collaborating early as you're starting to think about a project.
We're hoping that we can start with our pre-designed plans and that the potential client can use those floor plans and mix and match as needed. It is challenging to design for the many different regions, climates, sites in Oregon and throughout the country. It's essential to establish a solid team from the very beginning. We want to be communicating with the architect, and it's important for the architect to be open-minded about modular construction and the limitations and the opportunities. And so we invite the entire team to come tour the factory, see our process, have a better understanding of how the mods are transported and assembled on site. So really the key is early collaboration.
So Kendra, you also have done wildfire projects. You have a project up in the McKenzie where you placed units. And in my community and at least one other, you've worked with Age Plus on senior housing development. Are there lessons from those projects that you think would be beneficial to this crowd?
Yes. The first lesson is it's critical to have a decision maker, a designated decision maker for a project. With wildfire recovery, it's hurry up and get something on the ground. But wait, I'm funding this and this person's funding this, and there's conflict of interest, it seems, with the decision making. And from our perspective, we want to build something nice. We want the client to be happy, but do they need to satisfy all the goals of the funders? So that the lack of a smooth decision-making process, deciding on which color of white to paint interior wall, can be frustrating for a contractor. And we can get the buildings on the ground much faster if the process is smooth. And our goal is to help navigate that better. We are new to residential, and there are a lot of decisions to be made. We get it.
Great. Thank you. What about the rest of you? Any advice for developers in the audience who might be thinking about partnering with you?
I would just confer with Kendra about the early collaboration is key. When we come to off-site manufacturing of any way, obviously we're building buildings miles away from their destination. With our company, it's even further. There's a more kind of circus leader that needs to get into play that has the best interest of the project in mind. And that typically for us in our early collaboration, which is months prior to, just much like full modular, we're flat stack kits to where, but it's key that we collaborate with each and every subcontractor out there and bring a complete package. But then you have on these affordable projects, you usually have funding components that really at our juncture, when we're putting the building together in cooperation with the general contractor, we find that there's so much input from owners' representatives, which is supposedly the conduit to the question, or the answer person. But it often only throws a wrench in the works and causes time, money, and energy, and frustration. So I would agree 100% that having a clear path to the final product is it's in the developer's best interest to present a clear path to the final product, meaning aesthetically what they want. And then let the design professionals and the manufacturers sort out how it needs to get done. That would be a huge part, and early collaboration and an effort to get the ball across the finish line.
Stephen.
Thank you. Maybe we should all if I talk for mass timber, we should all overcome the impression that mass timber is always more expensive. It is not. We priced during the last 2 years multiple projects, and we usually came out either cheaper or competitive. But what Kendra said, that's absolute key, and I hope I had a panel yesterday. I'm repeating myself probably. You have to make the decision early if you want to go mass timber. The designers have to think wood early, and you have to bring the contractor in early. If you do those three things, then you're all set and you will have a cost-efficient modular system.
Yeah, and I think to kind of echo that, we're usually the interface with affordable housing developers as architects, and having done lots of housing from middle housing to multifamily, it definitely, to be successful with it, you definitely need partners that are bought in early, as you all have said, and really be able to design around the parameters of modular construction from the beginning. You can always go backwards to kind of standard construction if you need to, if the pricing or any other factors work, but it's much harder to go the other way. So you really need a team that's on board and willing to price it really fairly, to dig into the details, because especially volumetric modular, it really is a paradigm shift. It's a different way of kind of approaching the design, permitting, construction process. So it needs to be thought of that way, not as just, a little tweak to the normal. So that's kind of our plug on that.
Great, thank you. So we see great opportunity ahead, but no doubt there are still barriers or things that you are worried about. What do you think is facing the modular industry? What are the opportunities? What are the things that we still need to be looking at, either as a state or as project managers?
We'll go in order again. So I don't know if I'd call it a barrier, but it's important that general contractors are supportive of modular construction. This eats in a bit to their scope and product, but it can also make their scope easier so that they can produce more buildings. Customization is also a challenge. Blazer is a custom builder, and we love to build custom buildings, but if you want it in a hurry and for a decent price, standardization always helps. And if you tour our factory, we can talk a little bit more about how we standardize without every building looking exactly the same. Code cycles are challenging. the short code cycles. It would be nice to have a little bit of a extension, simplification of code so that we don't have to revise our plans every 3 years. Cost is always a concern for us to be competitive with site built. The challenging process, I think it's interesting to learn more about wall panels and about mass timber construction. We deal with the same challenges, but it's a little bit of a different process of construction.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. One of the big challenges is standardization and helping with our product. We do a lot of multi-level projects, multi-family, that have a lot of seismic pieces and structural engineering. And there's been a great before we even see the projects, there's been a great effort put forth to construct a building in such a way, or to put the intent down to construct the building in such a way that they can put their stamp on it, and which is totally acceptable and agreeable. But at the end of the day, you have the exact same. We see, we do maybe, I don't know how many projects we do a year, but we do a lot of high elevated concrete deck projects, and the structural intent is met. At the end of the day, you want the building to stand up during certain seismic events, but they've got every single way under the sun to do it. So I think going into this from a state kind of from a state side of jurisdictionally and engineering wise, there needs to be a really holistic look at standardizing, and especially in light of these are wood structures, and grades and species and all these things are all. It's just like a vegetable garden. We get certain grades and species here and others in other parts of the country, and we should design around what is sustainable and what is available. It's pretty simple. I mean, there's cost savings, a huge cost savings, just from one preference to another of a structural engineer or architect, or even an owner for that one. I want this type of wood. Okay, whatever. But at the end of the day, standardization is the key to modular offsite construction.
Yeah, I'll add a bit to kind of what Kendra was talking about. And, we obviously know that one of the biggest barriers to projects getting done is just how many, there's so much complexity, so many hoops to jump through, especially local permitting, land use, design kind of processes. We're excited that like DLCD and others are working on some more statewide model codes and things to help simplify that and make it easier to implement standardized projects. And that's really been our goal, is how can we apply all of our experience and knowledge of zoning codes across the state to make designs that are flexible to meet the various requirements of the funding, of accessibility, of sustainability, and local zoning. And it's a challenge, but to really see the cost savings potential and the time savings potential of modular, we really do need to stop custom designing every project from scratch. We have to really lean towards some standardization with the ability to tweak it. We can always make the outside look different. We can make adjustments and customizations, to Kendra's point, but if you want the efficiency, those fundamental pieces, I think we can standardize those better, and that's one of the big potential advantages.
Thank you. Is anybody else in the audience remembering those photos we saw last night at the dinner of the homes that are placed all over Vancouver? Same design, same format, because there was an opportunity in Vancouver to really replicate a housing model. I think that's a big lesson for us in general, and a very specific lesson to the modular industry. So let's get to one of the key questions that anybody who's a developer here is thinking about. Is this going to be cheaper? Is it going to be faster? If the answer to those isn't totally clear, then what are the other very specific advantages that a modular or a prospective developer should be thinking about?
Volumetric modular construction isn't necessarily cheaper. We're working on that. we're definitely faster. So if we can get to the point of submitting plans to state and starting construction, we're going to build the mods much faster. They'll arrive on site and be assembled. They're not exactly Legos, but close enough.
Yeah, faster is definitely what we are. In turn, faster is cheaper. So we offer a huge piece of lessened liability, and there's just it goes on and on. So to quantify it, it would take a month of Sundays, but we can definitely help with the pricing on that end. But it definitely is time and getting your subcontractors ready for a very fast build.
Well, we are competitive, and I think we're getting cheaper. I think we are cheaper, depending on where you source probably the wood for mass timber. And again, I can just underline what my colleagues here are saying. Standardization is key. It's about volume. It's about always, all day the same. It's like production of what's the Ford guy, the Model T2, Model T. Yeah, that's the same thing.
But with the possibility of tweaking, like Sandra says, we got variations of a theme, let's call it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I mean, I do think I agree that cost can be less with the right factors and the right planning. It's not always, and that is one of the, I think, kind of biggest kind of tipping points. People are always very much centered on cost, but I think there's also a lot of risk reduction too that you all maybe didn't speak to. But I think there's a lot of benefits, probably too many to list, but you all can see the quality of like what Blazer's building over there. It's, comes out, without the wear and tear of people dragging, materials in with gravel on their boots. Like there's just so many things that just work better when it's all done in the factory. And so there's a lot of risk pieces to consider as well.
And if we are successful in really juicing the market the way that we are trying to do by putting state dollars behind this work, it seems like there is a very real potential of reduction in costs over time.
I'll add one thing.
Sure.
Yeah, I would add, it's hard to consider or again, quantify the value of less time on the site. There's so many different factors. But one of the big impacts that I see is just the overall impact on the neighborhood, right? Because, sometimes developers met with that's their biggest hurdle. Once they get over the financial piece, yeah, let's go. But now all of a sudden we have, a set of grumpy neighbors, and rightfully so. They've lived there for 20 years, whatever. But if you can really show them the schedule out front, and that's what offsite manufactured buildings do, is they give you the opportunity to solidify and confirm and know that your building is going to go up, at least with a very fast and very, very efficient. So you can sell them on the idea that, hey, we're going to really try to minimize impact here in your neighborhood.
So good neighborly relations. There's almost infinite value to that probably alone, but especially depending on your neighborhood. So I've got more questions, but I want to just make sure that we get questions from the audience. Rep. Gamba.
Thanks. Great presentation. I'd like to follow on to that last question. Sorry. Great presentation. Thank you. I'd like to follow on to that last question. Were we able to bring the things you do to scale to where instead of 1 unit every 2 days, we're doing 50 units every 2 days or more? Do you see that driving down the costs?
Yes, it will drive down the cost. What this grant has allowed us to do is to focus on efficiency, on labor productivity within our factory. It does take a little time to scale. So while we're not expanding our manufacturing facility, we're working on ways to turn the buildings more efficiently and faster so that we're producing more buildings per day with less people, actually.
Yeah, The intent is yes. The question to the answer to the question, we are finalizing. We're 75% complete on our campus-wide development. So, yes, that's the intent. It's just to make scale by scaling it, we become more cost-effective.
Yeah, and it also depends on how much you integrate the MEP. You want to have, I always talk about Lego. I want to have a complete Lego system, so we can plug and play on the site with a very short timing on it for installation. That's why you need a lot of skills in your factory. You have to integrate all those MEP traits in your company, and then it will work pretty good.
And I would assume that if we get to that level of 50 every 2 days, that needs to come with a plan for the siting of those facilities. You're not going to stack, as you're designing and producing, you have in mind where these units are going to be placed. Is that right? So there's an integrated process of decision making. Other questions? Yes. Here, I'll just trot the thing.
My two big questions are, do any of your builds have Energy Star? Do any of these builds have energy certifications that are being partnered with? And then also, can these builds be customized to include solar? And when you are done installing, once the homes are appraised, are the values of the homes more than what we're actually putting down? Or am I going to be also fighting neighbors that I am bringing down their property values?
I'll go real quick on this because I don't have the main part of that answer, and I'm sure that others will. But the one piece that I will answer to is that LEED is a program, and I'm not sure how engrossed LEED is anymore in the building world. I know that we're tasked many times with a lot of our customers that want LEED certifications, and we are a huge piece to that puzzle from versus otherwise a stick frame or conventionally framed project. We get we're 100% recycled product. We don't, and we use and reuse, and the collaboration leads to so little waste and so much efficiency. You get points. I'm not sure how many. I couldn't speak to that, but definitely in the LEED program, I know there's and it's growing, ever growing. That.
Yeah, I'll speak for what we were focused on working with Kendra's team, and so prototypes you can't fully certify. There's usually inspections and stuff in the factory, but we definitely did collaborate with Earth Advantage, which is the most kind of common rater around here for Earth Advantage certification, or LEED for homes. So our prototypes are totally ready for that. They have the most efficient heat pump equipment and everything throughout, and really strive for zero energy ready. So especially at the middle housing scale, you'll definitely get enough solar to make those zero energy homes. So we're excited about that. We think that should definitely be the standard.
So do we have enough experience actually putting units on the ground to be able to speak to the value question, the appraised value question?
I don't know, but I don't see any reason why it wouldn't meet or exceed appraised value.
Right. Yeah. These are just equivalent to any other type of construction as a permanent dwelling. So yeah, if you're, it'd be the same economics as any other building in that neighborhood. Yeah.
I can note we have changed state law so that modulars and manufactured homes are allowed by right in any neighborhood, subject to only design considerations that apply to any other kind of construction. So right now, you can put a modular or a manufactured home in any existing neighborhood. We've also changed laws so that heading toward the future, neighborhoods that are governed by an HOA will also need to allow modulars and manufactured homes. Again, subject to design standards that exist, but have to apply to everybody else.
In the middle income and otherwise neighborhood infill projects, ADUs, I can speak to ADUs, and I know that the city of Medford is one, and I'm sure others have followed suit, but city of Medford allows you to, you don't have to tap into the lateral, you don't have to create a lateral sewer, so your SDC fees are far deferred. That's two parts. So the first part is they allow you to hook up your sewer as long as the pipe, the original lateral is big enough. They allow you to hook directly into your existing sewer, so you don't have to go under the street. Whereas otherwise, 2 years ago they had to, and most municipalities say, okay, great, you want to do an auxiliary dwelling unit. Yes, now the state and otherwise our local jurisdiction has said there's no more single family home designation, essentially, that multifamilies are okay, and the parking's not a problem, but there's some municipalities that still require you to dig under the street. So it's one for your local area to look at as a major cost, because it isn't not only a major cost, but there's a major charge usually associated with SDCs.
Great, thank you. I saw a hand.
I have a question about scale and whether or not this is usable in rural communities, where, you know, multifamily apartment buildings are going to be smaller. There's a lot of need for single family type of investment. If you were looking at some of these smaller communities that might need only a few units, is this a solution that they could use if they were using the standardized plans and going with something that was already pre-made, or do you have to have a certain volume to make this work?
We don't necessarily need to have a certain volume. We'll build a single home one at a time. There are savings to larger orders and efficiencies on the site. But sometimes we understand that rural communities sometimes don't have the workforce. Maybe it's hard to find a GC that has the available time, and that this is where modular can be a good solution.
Kendra, why don't you just briefly describe the projects you've done for Age Plus, because I think those are models that are really appropriate for rural communities.
With Age Plus, we worked with Age Plus to design a single level multifamily unit, 22 living units and 13 duplexes, both in Talent, Oregon. Age Plus came to us with a napkin sketch, and we developed the product and built it, and they did a great job. They knew what they wanted. We're now working with an architect to fully develop those designs. They were able to come up with a pretty basic, affordable model that looks great. It suits their clientele. We have full ADA units for their clientele. These are visitable models. So we can really work with any community to meet the needs, and that's what we want to do. We want you to be happy with the building, and we want to improve your community.
And I'm going to add a little more detail on that, because I'm pretty crazy about these Age Plus projects. These are 550 square foot units. In one case, they are attached, so there's sort of a motel layout. In the other case, they are duplexes, 2 units attached, a community of units around a central area. This could be sized up, it could be sized down. When I think of the vulnerable populations we have, whether they are elders or people coming out of homelessness or somebody moving out of a big home, for whom a 550 square foot unit in a community of support is an ideal outcome. We could put these projects on every street corner. And if we gear up modular, maybe we'll be able to do that. Alex?
Yeah, I'll respond to that as well. First of all, those are beautiful units, by the way. And I don't know if we classify as a rule. Is Talent rule? Yeah. Okay, we'll give Talent rule. I know that there's a lot of activity and a lot of in Jackson County, in what I consider the rule out in the country. And our county has been very hesitant to allow auxiliary dwelling units up until this year. Or maybe it was last year. The conversation got started probably 30 years ago, and there's been many people going up against land use laws and everything else. But now they are allowing, and we were participant. Actually, that video that we watched was a auxiliary dwelling unit in the county of Jackson County, and one of the first. It took him 2 years to get permitted, planning wise, and it took him 24 hours, and he picked up his permit with our set of plans. So it's really the savings for rural is really just, it's really, the front end is a huge part of it and the easy part to explain. Because as far as volume goes, yeah, we have a project in Medford itself that is a affordable housing project, New Spirit Village. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that. The governor came and everything. And they're little cottages, and they're on a big 110 of these projects. And we looked at the first phase and the second phase, and we were asked to price them individually and then price them for the phasing. It was 22 units in the first phase, and the whole project came out. At the end of the day, when they bought the 22 of them, it was maybe $1,000 cheaper per unit. And that had no consideration to do with design. That was after we had done our design work, which is after the architect and the engineer had done all their stuff. And because it was originally going to be a 3D printed project, and we turned it into the modular project, or to the component project. So yeah, there is savings in scale, but at the end of the day, when you're talking about just a normal, there's only so many ways to skin a cat when it comes to auxiliary dwelling units, and the prize right now is not the planning and the design. It's the forefront, and it's getting it to the jurisdictions and getting that code compliance in place.
And another note in reference to the Jackson County comment, we have also changed state law to allow rural residential properties, not ag properties, but rural residential properties, to have an ADU. Counties, it's a choice to the county. Counties have to implement that. But I think we are seeing more ADUs in those appropriate locations. Stephen, did you have any comment about rural Oregon, or you're still learning about rural Oregon? Okay, great. Other comments, questions? Yeah.
I was really curious about the workforce piece and whether you're seeing challenges in, given the speed, aligning subs in various disciplines that you need to have at a different rate than in regular stick-built construction, and also about the apprenticeship program that you mentioned and what we can do on the public sector side to kind of help just build up a workforce that's ready to build these kinds of projects.
Well, I can only say that we would like to copy-paste our apprenticeship program from Switzerland to the US. What I see here is that you don't really have a carpentry apprenticeship the way we know it, and if you want to go into this high quality modular products, you need high level skills, and this we would like to bring it over. I will do it here. In the first phase, I will bring Swiss people over, and we have next month the first cohort of US people coming to Switzerland, and we train them, and then we mingle them, and then they all come together to Portland, and then we will scale up the whole thing. That's our plan.
Okay, we have another breakout for next year scheduled now. Alex, why don't you say something about your workforce, because I think you have a very devoted workforce.
Okay, yeah, first of all, I would like to say thank you for doing that work, because I think that's very key to, and I only wish the best, and I hope we can help. It's been a passion of my wife and I's to create some sort of apprenticeship program that we are desperately needing here. Now, as far as I'm sorry.
Well, the question was around workforce and the challenge of finding workers. And when I visited, you very clearly have people who really like their jobs.
Thank you. Yeah, well, it's, like any business, yeah, we challenged with that when the labor market is tough. Labor market's still tough for us. We try our best to take care of our people as best we can. It is a starting lower pay position it's just manufacturing, right? But these people have built careers. They've built. We have a lot of people that have been there a long time, and they enjoy what they do. I will say, though, when they come in with no experience and they go out thinking, okay, now I can go frame houses, and frame buildings and stuff, yeah, they might be able to do that, and they might be able to pick up a better wage out in the field, but it's few and far between as far as their hours go, and the consistency and the weather and inclement stuff and all this, and they just seem to be, they all levitate back. So, yes, smaller scales, but more dependability. We work them 9 hours a day, during the high times, and so it's a good wage,
regardless of weather.
regardless of climate. Yes.
I can speak a little bit to crew coordination. After many years in a manufacturing facility, you sort of lock that in and schedule ahead of time. We employ most of the trades. We outsource drywall, but the drywall company currently is in our factory every day. He has a key to the gate, so we just have to watch that. I got locked in the other day. So basic communication. And I think training is essential. The workforce that we're hiring now hasn't been able to start working until they really can't work construction until they're 18, and they don't have the experience that maybe they would have had many years ago, and that's fine. We can start from scratch. Sometimes it's kind of nice to start from scratch. Then they don't have their bad habits embedded into their culture.
Any other? Do we have time? One last question. Okay.
Can you speak to the cost savings from the fact that you're putting these buildings up from the foundation to under roof much faster than stick build? From, you're reducing weather delays, the time to build is days or weeks rather than months, and then also, that also looks at construction loans that may be part of these projects. You're shortening that time. You're eliminating that interest from the cost as well. So can you talk about like just the time savings that you see on even the smallest projects to the larger projects?
So I'm just going to repeat the question in case people in the back, although you have a good voice. The question was to provide any more detail possible regarding cost savings by our ability to speed up and schedule projects and financing.
Yeah, that is a whole nother seminar for next year. But I would say for sure the time efficiency can only be valued by the one going about it. This kind of parlays into what can we do to help as far as the workforce goes, and really the jobs are so much more efficient with our flat stack systems that come to the job site that not only is the time, and the industry, it vacillates between 50 and 60% time savings when it comes to the frame. So I've seen projects go 75% quicker than they should have, and I've also seen them go 40% faster. So they definitely go faster. It really depends on what you're ahead of. Now, as far as prepping for subs and all this, you really need to reach out if you haven't done a component offsite built project. It's in the owner's best interest to make sure they have a general contractor on board or general contractor that's open to the idea of doing this and collaborating with ones that have experience in it, because it's very fast, but it's only as fast as its weakest link, right? Just like anything. So you can go like heck and get it up, and all of a sudden the plumbers are a week out because they're used to the normal frame. So it's really a key, that early collaboration, not only in the modeling, and the collaboration between the framer and the MEPs and the general contractor and the engineer and the architect, but then further the schedule collaboration is huge.
One quick comment.
Yeah, we don't have our general contractor friends up here, but that'd be another great future session, and we really hope between now and then to work with several of you to like really dive into this, because there's a lot to consider, and everything you said is super logical and part of the considerations for developers, especially when we see like on a 50 to 100 unit affordable housing project, we should be able to see a 9 to 14 month time savings. And all the labor that goes along with that time is hopefully saved and reduced in cost throughout all of that. So that's something that's really worth a closer look, and some like really detailed study that I don't think we've seen on projects yet. but I know that, folks like Walsh, they've done lots of kind of comparisons in some of this work too. So it's an evolving conversation, but it's something that we do think there's more that can be saved. And especially if that helps with funding cycles and other aspects that developers are up against, it's really worthwhile.
Thank you. So just a couple of closing comments, because I think we're at the end of our time. One is, it was in 2023, that was back when the state had money. It was really marvelous to have this opportunity to invest in our modular sector. And I think after hearing from this panel, you can see that that was a good investment. That the promise of really growing this sector and being able to use these products out on our landscapes is tremendous. And that leads me to the last thing I wanted to share with you, which is that this year in the 25 session, we decided we needed to further this work by putting some of our state money behind these folks or other modular or factory producers across the state. We passed House Bill 3145. And what we are doing in this legislation is to set aside $25 million in LIFT funding. It can be ownership, it can be rental projects, for projects that are specifically using factory-based components. Could be from these folks, could be from other producers. They have to be Oregon producers. We want to really invest in our sector, our homegrown sector. And we are also going to put some money into technical assistance so that we can start really educating local communities, local developers, local nonprofits about how to approach a project that uses a factory-based components, or what does it take to actually get modulars out on the ground. Again, our hope is to really help juice the market by using the power of state dollars to produce projects that we can all look at. We can see how they feel, and we can get feedback from people about what works and what we still need to work on. Because our hope is that we have not just a short-term investment in our modular producers, but very much a long-term investment that pays off for all of us. So thank you so much to our panel for being here. Thank you to all of you for coming.